Hi everyone. Today in this episode I'll be reviewing the Fujifilm X-S10 mirrorless camera. So I got this camera with a 1680 kit lens. There are a number of reasons why I chose this. I'll be going into a little bit of detail about why I chose this camera compared to the other models from Sony, Nikon and Canon out there. Uh, so the price range of this was somewhere around 1.2 lakhs depending on whether you are buying it with just the body or you are taking the 1855 lens or the 1680 lens. I would recommend buying it with the kit lens simply because it's cheaper that way, otherwise the lenses cost much more in the Fujifilm universe. Uh, yeah, so let's get into it. So I'll also be going into what all came into the box, what all came with the package. So let's start. Yeah. Of course, there was the main unit and the lens that is out there, right? This strap was there. Apart from that, so one of the main things that I was not expecting was the bag, and the bag looks pretty good, right? It has a number of pouches inside wherein you can store the lens. It can easily store up to two lenses. Plus has small pouches for your SD cards, extra batteries that you want to carry. It comes with a strap also, so that is inside this, which is pretty good. Like it's a good looking camera carrying case. I was thinking I'll have to order it separately because it was not written on the Amazon page that whether they would be providing this or not. But they sent it. I'm really happy. Yeah. Apart from that, in the box there were a couple of things. So another thing that was not mentioned on the Amazon page that came with the box was a 64 GB SD card. I was thinking about ordering it separately, but coincidentally they sent it. I was really happy when I found that it had an SD card, and they sent a good SD card. Okay, 1 second. So I'll just show you where the SD card goes. Goes over here, right? It's the same section that carries both the battery as well as the SD card. Yeah. So if you see, this was the SD card that it came with. It supports up to 300 Mbps of data transfer speed. Funnily enough, this camera only supports UHS class 1, right? And this SD card is UHS class 2. I don't know what they were thinking when they sent it. It's time, as in this camera was built in an age where UHS 2 is becoming the norm, and sending it with UHS 1, which is roughly 1/3 the speed of UHS 2. I don't know what they were thinking, but I didn't find it so much of a hurdle. It basically performed well when recording 4K at 30 FPS also. So as in I'm not complaining, but it should have been better, right? One of the other things that was there in the pack was of course the battery. It's a small battery, supports up to 325 shots, which is a little on the lower side for a camera that you paid over 1 lakh for, but yeah, this is what it came with. Okay. What other things came in the box? A charging cable, of course the manual, some details about another software, free editing software that you can use, specifications sheet. There was the lens on that side. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. The caps for the lens as well as the body. Yeah, I think that's about. One thing I missed was, where does it open from? Let me just. Yeah, it also came with a 3.5mm jack, USB-C to 3.5mm jack converter, right? Which is good. So basically, what it also means is that this camera supports an external mic as well as an external speaker or a headphone if you want to attach one, right? Coming back to the camera, there are a couple of things going on here. So with this camera, what Fuji has done is they have made it similar to the other models out there. So I'm new to Fuji, by the way, so I didn't know this, but instead of the normal modes that are there in most cameras, most DSLR cameras. This one, Fuji generally comes with a shutter speed dial, which is not the case this time. I'm really happy for it because I'm shifting from a Nikon D5100, which was my previous camera. And this feels more familiar. It was easier for me to shift to this camera compared to if this would have been a shutter speed dial, right? Few things that really work for this camera. One, a fully articulating screen. Coincidentally enough, a couple of cameras that I was looking at from Canon, Nikon, Sony in this range, which were being considered its competitors, did not have a fully articulating screen, which is funny. Like, if I want to shoot a really difficult shot, a fully articulating screen enables me to make that shot possible, right? So, for example, I'm shooting from the top. I can do this. Otherwise, I won't be able to. That's one. The screen is actually quite good. So, if you see, 1 second. Screen is actually pretty flawless. It supports touch. You can focus by touching the screen to a specific part of the view. It's really easy to use that way, right? Another thing, this is very light. So my previous DSLR was at least double the weight. So coincidentally, the lens is actually more heavy than the camera body itself. That is not a problem because of the grip that it has. It's a good grip. Like, I have small hands, so I don't know about you guys, but it's easy enough for me. Like, I can easily shoot with this kind of a grip, right? So, two things we have seen till now that moved me in the favor of this camera are is the mirrorless factor, which is the weight factor, and the fully articulating screen. But that's not it. That's not the only part. The image quality is fabulous. The video quality is fabulous. But one of the most important things that led me to this camera was the in-body image stabilization. So no other camera in this range. And when I'm saying no other camera, even if you go 50K above, probably there is no other camera because I researched quite a bit. No other camera has IBIS. And it's a 5-axis IBIS, which might not be as good as compared to other pro cameras which have IBIS, but it lets you click images at as low as 1/10 of the shutter speed. So it's actually pretty good. That means that you can take better shots when there is less light. You can capture better bokehs, and that's just the starting point of it, because once you can actually shoot more stable images, the sky's the limit. You can do anything with it, right? So the things that I don't like, it's a little cluttered over here, right? There are a lot of buttons, first of all, and it took me some time to figure out what each of them do. So if you see, there is one button, one specific dial at the front. Then there is an on-off button. There is a record button. There is a Q button, which basically brings up the quick menu. There is an ISO button. There is another shutter speed dial. Apart from that, if you see, there is an AF autofocus button. There is an AL button. There is a joystick, which is actually the most useful thing in this entire interface, and it's placed very well. This can be used to basically manually select which area of the screen do you want to focus on if you don't want to use touch. There's a menu, enter and menu cancel button. Apart from that, there is a delete button, there is a play button, and then there is this very cool mechanical flash. I really like it. Apart from that, so I have already shown you this thing, the place where you put in the battery and the SD card. So one of the problems that I found was when you attach it to a tripod, if you have to change the battery, you cannot. Or if you have to change the card, you cannot without taking the camera out, which was a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, that's one of the things that you have to sacrifice. The other thing over here, if you can see, is the USB-C port. So you can directly connect it to a PC, and you can charge it through a normal USB cable. You can also use adapters, normal adapters, without any issue, because I have been using it for about 3-4 days now without any hassle, and it's been charging really well. The other is a micro HDMI slot. You can use it to connect a display to it. Coming back to the lens, so one of the new things that I found in this lens was one, first of all, you can basically increase, decrease the focal length from here. But apart from that, you can also control the aperture from here. This is new for me. I'm coming from a Nikon system wherein aperture was controlled from another area. And this was a good surprise. It was easy and it felt a little natural, a little too natural in my opinion. So yeah, that's about it. The viewfinder also is good. It has a sensor attached to it, so when you take your eyes close to it, it will turn off the LCD and turn on the viewfinder. If you take it away, the LCD will automatically become on and the viewfinder, they will turn off. Okay, I'm new to the Fuji system, right? So one of the things that I did not know about Fuji is the film simulation modes. Apparently that's something that Fuji is very, very famous for. And I did not know about it till I bought this camera. So great, right? So they have some specific filters like monochrome. They have a couple of other filters. I don't remember the names, but they give an added character to each of the images. So they have a vivid Vivia, I think it's called. They have a Vivia filter or film simulation, which basically adds vivid colors to the image that you're shooting, which is very good for landscapes. When you go out, you're shooting greeneries, adds that extra dramatic layer to it. If you're shooting, let's say, inside and you want a little subdued character in your image, you can move it to another filter and then it will take care of that for you. You don't have to post-process it. You can, but you don't have to. Adding to a couple of features that I really like, it comes with an app, right? So as in there is wireless connectivity available. It's not as good in terms of the fact that it took me some time to figure out the connectivity. Also the firmware gave me some trouble in terms of updating. I had to manually do it by adding the firmware to the SD card and like install it from there. But it supports an app, remote app interface through which once the app is connected to the camera, you can control the camera completely from the app. You can also look at the live view, what the camera is seeing, and you can start, stop recording, click pictures. All of that is available through the app. You can also transfer images, although only JPEG images. You can also transfer images from the camera to the app directly without any laptop intervention in between. You can directly use the app to access the JPEG images that are there on the camera and directly download it. The camera also supports automatic reduction in your megapixels or the size of the image if they are being transferred to the app. Yeah. Apart from that, another thing that you can do with this camera that I found out today was you can use it as a webcam. So Fuji has developed this really cool software, so you can which is compatible with XS 10. You can directly connect this camera to the laptop, and after that it will start working as a webcam for you with a very high quality, very expensive webcam. But yeah, a webcam nonetheless. It's very, very useful for live streamers specifically, because that kind of quality in live streaming is just out of the box. Like, I really liked it. It can shoot 4K at 30 FPS and HD, like full HD at 240 FPS, which is, I think, and the quality is phenomenal. I really liked it. Yeah, so that is my review of this camera. 2-3 reasons why I bought this. Okay, so coming back to it, 2-3 things I did not like about this. One, the app connectivity could be a little better. It's a little hazy. It takes some time. Once it is connected, it works, but I'm not too happy with it. But I can work around it. The camera's quality is much more important as compared to how well it connects to my app. So yeah, I'm down to it. It's not weather sealed. The lens that it came with is weather sealed. The camera is not. So I'm not sure what is going on there, Fuji, but even a slight weather sealing such that it's okay with okay in a drizzle, that would have been more than enough. But leather, as in at this cost, I would have preferred having a weather seal camera. Lens is weather sealed, so I don't know what is happening there. Apart from that, auto. So this also has an auto tracking system in place, right? So if you so it can track your track characters or a person's eye. Okay, so it has auto eye tracking, which works, but it's not anything to write home about. It's good. It's not exceptional, right? UHS one, the thing that I talked about, the SD card thing, could have been better. The battery could have definitely been better. So I think I'll be buying another battery just to make sure that I don't run out of charge. But battery is an issue. Like it only, so 320 shots is too little for a camera of this generation. My old camera used to do more than this, and and I bought it in 2012. So it's been about 9 years now. This should have definitely had more battery, and they had space. I don't know what they did. So basically they have space over here. I can see that there is space around here, around the grip, but they chose to still go with the smaller battery, and that's, I don't know, I feel icky about it. But yeah, overall a very nice camera, a very nice package, simply because the image quality is really good at this rate. It's mirrorless, it's very sharp, the video quality is amazing. It comes with some features that only come in the pro models, and it can give a direct competition to like cameras that are double its price in the Canon and Nikon range, and that's pretty good. I'm very happy with my purchase, and I'm looking forward to clicking more pictures. If you have any suggestions on how I can improve these reviews, please write to me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video. Please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Come back to SS on the go soon.